Greetings and welcome to episode 179 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander. I'm joined this week by Patrick Welsh. Even though I've just looked across at the overlay and it says at Fairworld and then Keith in brackets underneath. I didn't change it. That's my bad.
That's okay.
I'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Well, now you've just drawn attention to it, so you know.
Oh, when I say I fix it in post, I mean I'll put it in like paint, and I'll just put it through it, and then I'll just write Patrick on it, and it'll probably only just appear now. Like
it's no more than I
fix it. You deserve way better than me accidentally labeling you as Keith.
Wow.
It's not here. How are you?
I get by. It didn't. I sort of just stayed in because the weather was awful outside.
It is.
So it's nice and toasty.
It is awful outside. I don't like it.
It's cozy during spooky season.
That is nice though. Like just like curling up inside, keeping warm, doing whatnot. That's what I like about autumn. I could remember the word for autumn. Oh my god, this is gonna be a one for the ages. This podcast.
I didn't want to say it.
Well, first, right. So here's the thought process behind what just happened. So first, I almost said spring. And I was like, that's definitely not right.
It's spring in Australia.
It is spring in Australia. Maybe there are probably people out here who watch this with our accents who probably think we are Australian. So, and then I was like, no, it's not spring. Self-correct. And because games and podcasts and game critic, all I could think of was fall. And I was like, it's not fall. But then I couldn't remember what the British word for fall was. Holiday? No. Summer. I don't know. It's Halloween. Almost.
Woo!
Halloween month.
It's always Halloween. It's Halloween in our hearts.
It's always Halloween in my heart. If I had to pick a holiday, like that was my favorite, it would be Halloween. Because chocolate and stuff. I like chocolate. For anyone that doesn't know, this is the Words About Games cast. Every week we discuss 5 stories centered around what's been going on in games.
5 stories.
5 stories.
5 stories.
5 stories. I split it up into 5 parts.
I'm sure you could find 5 stories if you looked.
Oh, yeah. It's super easy. Either games, gaming culture, the games industry. This week we need to talk about Blizzard. And only Blizzard.
So you got the guy who's the least qualified to talk about Blizzard.
That's just how I roll with these podcasts. Like, I jumped in as like a last minute sub on my friend's movie podcast, which came out like yesterday, Sunday. And it's like, I don't know nothing about films. I'm available, we're friends, and I'll always like help out when I can. So it's like, we talked about movies like, I watched that Breaking Bad movie, so I talked about that for a bit, and then we got into the news bit, and it was like some news stories, there was a Star Wars thing, and I was like, I can talk about Star Wars, and then there was some other stuff I don't even remember, and I was just like, yep, I don't know anything about films. I watch like a dozen films a year if I'm lucky. But hey, I managed. I reacted to the trailer for that Disney ride movie, Jungle Cruise.
Oh, the one with The Rock in it.
Yeah, it's the Mummy. It's the Mummy.
I didn't see him. I think I just saw a screenshot of it with The Rock. It's like, are you sure that's not Jumanji?
So he basically walked directly off of the set of Jumanji into whatever the hell, Jungle Cruise.
Which of the 5 jungle-themed films that The Rock is in this month is it?
But I watched the trailer for the podcast, and it totally looks like The Mummy. It's the plot of The Mummy. It's exactly the same as The Mummy. Except Emily Blunt can kick butt, and Rachel Weisz couldn't.
Bro, you take
in the
that
first
back.
one, in the first movie, Rachel Weisz.
All right, she didn't like do kung. She didn't like do kung fu.
Emily Blunt beats people up. That's
okay.
it. Rachel Weisz is cool, don't get me wrong, but she didn't beat people up in the movie.
You're gonna get letters. Someone's angry writing a tweet now. What? How dare you?
If that's the part,
how could you?
If that's the part of this podcast that I get angry with comments about, I will be more than happy to take that.
Yeah, half the audience is tuned out because you hate Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just trying to get rid of everyone before we do the actual podcast. Like, just talking about movies usually gets rid of some people. There are timestamps in the video below, in the video description below the video on YouTube. Go check them out. Like I said, I've broken down this Blizzard story into 5 parts. It's not chronological. I was going to do it chronologically, and then I was like, no, that's too much work to figure out what happened when. I just broke it down into 5 themes. There is some housekeeping. Next Monday, there will be no podcast, because I'm going to be at EGX, and it'll be very difficult to record a podcast while I'm in a hotel room in London without any of my equipment. So there will be a podcast instead, either on Wednesday or Thursday next week, which will be me finding someone to talk to you about all of the cool games that I played and the show that I went to, and how disappointed I am with the Avengers.
You don't know, it might be good.
It might be good. I don't know. I'm going to play it, so... Well, when I say I'm going to play it, I'm going to play like a 15-minute demo, I guess. Something like that. Queue up for like 2 hours to play it. If I'm lucky. Let's get
a Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, it's not a bad idea. I took it to the last EGX I went to.
Although, good luck having the battery last 2 hours.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to be queuing a lot longer than the battery life of the Switch lasts. I always find a way to amuse myself. When I get bored, I just start talking to random developers about really weird topics. I was telling the story last week of how I talked to Mike Bithel's, I want to say girlfriend, maybe fiance, maybe wife, about puppets for half an hour. Just because, yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, so some stuff happened. You probably already know about it, but we're going to go through it. If you've been conscious this past week and on any sort of social media platform, you'll probably already know the headline of the first part of this podcast, which is Blitz Chun removed from Hearthstone Grandmasters for Liberate Hong Kong comments. So this is a story from Sean Prescott over at PC Gamer, who wrote, Blizzard has ruled that Hearthstone Pro Chun, Blitz Chun, help me, Patrick.
So with the caveat that, I'm the, Anglophone white guy, I think the name is Chung Wei.
Chung Wei.
Chung, yeah.
Wei.
I haven't heard it pronounced out loud, so very sorry.
Yeah, Sam. Sorry if we get it wrong. If I get it wrong, Chung Wei.
Blitz Chun.
Blitz Chun. I'm hoping that's the last time I have to read his actual name out, just for the sake of me not wanting to butcher his name over and over again. Blizzard has ruled that Hearthstone Pro Chun, Blitz Chun, and Wei will be removed. Interesting grammar there, PC Gamer. Has been removed from Hearthstone Grandmasters following the player's call for Hong Kong's freedom during a post-match interview. Additionally, Blizzard has stated that it will no longer work with the 2 casters who appeared in the now-deleted broadcast. Blitz Chun has been found in breach of Section 6.1 of the 2019 Hearthstone Grandmasters official competition rules, which forbids, quote, engaging in any act that, in Blizzard's sole discretion, brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image, will result in removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize total to $0 US. Well, I suppose if it's 0, it doesn't matter what currency it's in addition to other remedies which may be provided for under the handbook and Blizzard's website terms. So that happened last Monday. that was the situation. Probably waking up on Tuesday, because I think this happened quite late on the Monday. There's a Chinese stream. He hung up. He hung up. He was getting interviewed by 2 casters. Did you see the clip?
I didn't. I actually don't really know the exact context for what happened? Like when they say like the stream, like what platform was this on?
So this was on multiple platforms, I would assume. So it was the Overwatch Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament that Blitz Chun was competing in as a Hearthstone player, and I think he won it. Like, because I think that's why they were interviewing him, and basically it was essentially it's exactly how this podcast looks. It was like two videos side by side. On one side was Blitz Chun, on the other side was the two casters sitting at the desk. They were interviewing him. He put on he had a gas mask on, which is a thing in the protests that are going on in Hong Kong and have been going on for months.
A lot of the protests in Hong Kong are hiding their faces to avoid facial recognition software.
Yeah, it's smart. He had a gas mask on and he held up a sign which said, "Free Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Age." At which point, like, the two casters who were involved were just interviewing him as a Hearthstone player, and there's the moment where they're trying to, like, one of them like hides under the desk because they realize what's going to happen when he's wearing a gas mask, and they don't want to have any part of it. So they both kind of hide under their desks while this is happening. Like, they literally they're on their desks, like behind the desk, like hiding under it.
Because if this image is going to go viral on YouTube, they'd rather not have their faces.
Yeah, because obviously because it's a Chinese stream. I want to say that they're on. I might be wrong on that. I wasn't watching it.
Was it an official? It's an official Blizzard stream.
But it was an official Blizzard stream, which was obviously cut off. The interview, and then afterwards, Blitz Chun got banned for a year. All of his prize money for the entire season was taken away from him. The two casters who were just there and interviewing him and had no part in it whatsoever also were fired.
Wait, they were fired?
They were fired. Like, Blizzard would not be working with them any longer. Was the original reaction?
Okay.
Yeah. So they were essentially fired by Blizzard. Like, they're not going to work with those casters anymore because I don't know what the deal is with like casters and Blizzard's esports.
Well, yeah, I mean the Emperor should have looked into this more. So I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's what I'm here for, to explain stuff.
The implication seems to be is that there's some sort of freelancers.
Yeah, I think all of the casters are like freelancers, or they're on like temporary contracts.
They're not Blizzard employees.
No, from what I gather from watching Overwatch League for the last 2 years, like I think all of the casters and all the on-air talent as far as the Overwatch League goes are they're signed up for the season. So it's I think it's like a season by season kind of thing. I don't think anyone specifically works for Blizzard.
Well, I imagine that if Blizzard just like ad hoc, fired its own employees, it would be an even bigger mess than the one they created.
I'm not sure that. I don't know if they could create a bigger mess than they created. So we just had to put this into context of like my week. We just had the PlayStation 5. Was a thing, and there was a funny story going around about someone suing Fortnite for being addictive, and then this happened, and I read the thing, and I was like, that's really shit. Like, but I read that stuff all the time. Like, bad stuff always happens in the games industry. At the level of the response is what kind of took me off guard.
Yeah. And it's also kind of unanimously critical of Blizzard's response as well.
Yeah.
Like there's been no, I mean, not that I haven't gone and looked for it, but there's been no real devil's advocating here.
No. It's like normally you get something, you get a situation, a controversy, like, words about Gamescast. We're very familiar with controversies here. Let's say, for example, THQ Nordic, like a little while ago, the 4chan and the 8chan AMA situation. There's always the people who think it's shit and sucks, and they were wrong for doing that.
Yeah.
Go on.
I should probably specify there's no one that I can think of in the Anglosphere that is critical of this. I don't know how it's gone in China. Yeah. Well, the Chinese government notwithstanding, but how it's gone amongst like Chinese fans of Hearthstone and of Blizzard, like that's probably different.
I don't know, because
I think that's the thing. I think the difference between this and say the THQ AMA thing is that there's no real stakeholders, apart from Blizzard themselves, who can really say, "No, come on, guys, let's give the Chinese government a chance." No one's
That's what I mean.
No one's going to come out and say, "Well, actually, we how dare you say these terrible things about the noble communist government of China and its noble attempt to deny the people of Hong Kong their rights."
Well, actually, you know what? I think freedom kind of sucks.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy about this. So people I have blocked on Twitter and people who are just general not great people, and it's suddenly I'm reading about them and they're they're not necessarily saying the same things as I'm saying on Twitter, but they're on the same side of an issue.
Yeah, if I was to go on Twitter and say "fuck Nazis," you'd get a whole bunch of people go and say, actually, one. One, how dare you suggest the Conservatives are Nazis? Two, the Nazis weren't that bad. Three, it is you who is the real Nazis, and so on ad nauseum. Whereas we're in the strange situation where both the Nazis, the communists, the pro-capitalist libertarians, the Conservatives are all kind of critical of China, not of China, of Blizzard, because no one's really losing out from criticizing Blizzard on this.
This is true.
No one's really ideologically bound up with defending Blizzard and the Chinese government's policy of re-Hong Kong.
It's a strange situation. It's not really Blizzard's policy of re-Hong Kong. We'll get into it. There was another statement. We got a long way to go. Yeah. A lot happened in the past 6 days. So I've titled number 2 of section 2 of the fallout. So this is the immediate fallout of what this is what happened next. So Blizzard did the thing, they released the statement. Conventional wisdom says if Blizzard hadn't have taken such a hard stance against Blitz Chun and the 2 casters on the stream, this probably would have died out. Blizzard obviously is unaware of the Streisand effect. So here's what happened next.
Okay.
Go on. No, go on.
Well, I was going to say, the Streisand effect only applies if you're trying to sort of prevent people from talking about it.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I don't know if that's what Blizzard did.
I think they would have preferred people not to talk about it.
I think Blizzard just didn't talk about it for 4 days.
They didn't talk about it for 4 days. It was a long 4 days.
I think their statement came out yesterday?
Friday afternoon.
Okay.
5:30 p.m. The timing of which we'll talk about when we get to the statement. So the immediate fallout was the hashtag boycott Blizzard started trending on Twitter.
No shit.
Which is that's the obvious one. So I saw that coming up on Twitter, and I was like, that happens. I a couple of weeks ago, I'm pretty sure there was a boycott of Borderlands 3.
Yeah,
there's always a boycott trending on Twitter.
It follows much as the street gets wet after the rain starts.
Yeah, I will say that there was more tweets in this than there was in a normal boycott, and it's sustained for a lot longer than a normal boycott did. There were people sharing screenshots and videos of themselves uninstalling Blizzard games, trying to delete their accounts, cancelling World of Warcraft subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
They're going the whole 9 yards. I mean, I uninstalled Overwatch off of my Xbox. I forgot to take a picture of it, though, which is my bad, I guess. But, I looked at the icon on my library, and I was just like, yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah.
No, thanks. What else have we got? Account authentication stopped working for a little while. This is an interesting one. So, there's 4 ways in which you can authenticate your account, Battle.net account. And they all stopped working pretty quickly. I heard that was a hoax, though, and I don't know how. It wasn't a hoax. It definitely, it could have been. I mean, it could have been a hoax, but from what I saw, there was one person that tweeted it with a picture, and a bunch of other people tweeted their own pictures of themselves trying to delete their account. People started jumping on the train of Blizzard is stopping people.
That's the story that was trending. Yeah,
that was the story that was trending. That would have if anything. I can see those services being hammered to the point where
that's probably what happened. Yeah, it happens not to bring it directly into wrestling. It happens quite often when WWE produces a shitty pay-per-view and cancelled WWE starts trending, and then the website for canceling subscriptions goes down.
Yeah, like the authentication processes are all automated.
You don't need to see conspiracy theories. It could just be as simple as the website was not designed to handle a sudden spike in activity.
Yeah, people were just pissed. I don't know, I think, and just like...
And wanted to make a statement.
So they were doing this thing, and then people just jumped to conclusions. It was a messy week. Also, the Blizzard subreddit went down briefly. This was apparently due to a rogue moderator who set the forum private before resigning, or like whenever Reddit mods do. Like the equivalent of resigning, but apparently, like
he changed the password threw the laptop out the window.
Yeah,
was never seen again. Became a shepherd.
Probably. Who knows? He's probably no. Who knows? Or she, or they. So this was an interesting one. So according to ex-Game Informer news editor and Kind of Funny Games co-host Imran Khan, one source at Nintendo customer service told them that they've received a notable number of pre-order cancellations of the upcoming Switch port of Overwatch.
You've ruined Nintendo! How dare you?
So the way this story goes, because I was watching the podcast that Imran was on.
Because when you're buying stuff on the Switch, once you've bought the money on pre-orders, like that's it. It's an absolute nightmare trying to get your money back.
Yeah. The fact that people were trying to get their money back was not insignificant in and of itself. As the story goes, because the person who was working the customer services that Imran talked to isn't like clued into to games like necessarily, and he'd called her and asked her, and she told him that like, a lot of people have been canceling Overwatch. Like their Overwatch pre-orders is why? What's going on? There's something happened.
Okay.
So that was happening. Before we do the meaty thing, with the actual story, there was a thing going around about 1,000 year forum bans on the Blizzard forums.
Which I've got to say is much more poetic than just being a lifetime ban. You know, you shall be banned for 1,000 years. Like it almost seems like the setup for a story where someone comes back in 1,000 years' time and civilization is in ruins, and no, I have returned,
but I can log in again into the Blizzard forums. No, it was just a case of like there was people trying to pass around the conspiracy theory that Blizzard moderators on the forum were trying to suppress free speech or whatever, but it was probably just people breaking the rules.
Which just so we're clear, it's not a suppression of free speech. Blizzard have absolutely every legal right to do what they did. Whether it was morally right or made good business sense is probably going to be part of the conversation. But it's not a It's not a suppression of free speech as defined under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, in that it was not carried out by the U.S. government.
Not carried out by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just put some emphasis on the U.S. part of the. I'm just being silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was probably due to people breaking the rules, because there's plenty of posts on the Blizzard forums about Hong Kong and stuff like that. Yeah, people will probably Sometimes you just got to get out there and say, yes, this happened, but probably not for the reasons you might jump to the conclusions of. And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Blizzard here. When we get into the weeds of this, I definitely won't be, but.
I don't think we're going to come across as pro-Blizzard, but I think it's important just to say they had a legal right to do what they did. Like they're not,
they're a company; they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they're an independent business entity.
Here's the interesting part of the fallout. Here's the funniest. I don't know whether it's the funniest, the most interesting, or just it just made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. This is actually reading from a news story. Overwatch's mayor has reached Hong Kong protests. This is from Emma Kent over at Eurogamer, who wrote, in the aftermath of Blizzard's decision to suspend professional Hearthstone player Blitz Chun for expressing pro-Hong Kong beliefs, this week players started an online campaign to transform Overwatch character Mei into a symbol of democracy. It didn't take long for the idea to catch on, and now she's being used in Hong Kong protests. On several subreddits, multiple screenshots of newscasts from Hong Kong have appeared showing protesters with printouts of Mei artwork. In a live stream by Hong Kong Apple Daily at around 1:22:40, you can see a line of people holding up the images with the words, Mei is fighting for her rights and Free Hong Kong 5 demands, not one less, which is a slogan of the Hong Kong protests. So this was an interesting approach by people who were pissed off with Blizzard, with the way that they handled the Blitz Chun, with the thing, and they thought, what can we do about this? Like, aside from cancel our subscriptions, delete our games, delete our accounts, and then somehow everybody got together on Reddit and went, you know, it'd be really funny if we took the Chinese character of Mei from Overwatch and turned her into a symbol of democracy in solidarity with Hong Kong. So, like there's tons of images and memes being shared around of, like, Mei, like, with an umbrella, which is a part of the Hong Kong thing, with the gas mask, with, like, the slogans, like, Free Hong Kong and stuff. And then the aim of this seems to be that people are trying to get Blizzard games banned in China. Which is possible. Like, like if Mei is now turning up, if this character from Overwatch is now turning up in the Hong Kong protests,
yeah, she's got to show up at the resistance rallies along with Winnie the Pooh.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, we talked about the Winnie the Pooh thing earlier this year with the game, like, Devotion, that came out and ended up being delisted because there was a reference to Winnie the Pooh. And,
who is banned in China because people say he looks like Xi Jinping.
Yes. And, like, that's all it took.
If you really want to protest Blizzard, everyone at BlizzCon should show up just wearing a red t-shirt and nothing else.
Oh, we're going to get to BlizzCon. So I loved this. I thought, you know what? This is really... I like this a lot. Like, as a form of protest for Blizzard.
Creative, and it's petty, and it's spiteful.
I was feeling a little spiteful through the week.
And it's in character, because you know what? Mei probably would support the protest.
Mei probably would support the protest, because Mei's like that. Like, as much as I give a shit, like, all the time when we were talking about Overwatch, like, it's because I hate playing against her. Like, I hate her skill set when applied against me. Like, the character herself is like, yeah, cool. Like, she probably would support the protests, and I think it will be absolutely hilarious if Activision Blizzard games get banned from China because of, well, essentially because of the Blitz Chun incident. Personally. Should we talk about some reactions to the fallout?
Yes, let us discuss the reactions.
Let us discuss the reactions. There were a few. I didn't put them all in here because that
not as many as I'd have liked, to be honest.
But yeah, a lot of reactions came from people like us, or like podcasters and news people, and
professionally outraged.
But I was like, this story got picked. This wasn't just like it's on Polygon, it's on Kotaku, it's on PC Gamer. This was on like BBC, Bloomberg, NBC, CBC. Like
they were like US senators coming out. I mean, in fairness, again, it's the easiest thing in the world to come out and criticize the Chinese government, which is what they're actually doing.
That was what the senators were doing. That's why I didn't add it in here, because they were just really going after China.
Like Mark Rubio, who is a fucking evil piece of shit ghoul, but yeah, he was coming out and probably didn't know what the fuck Blizzard was, but it was just, how dare China, blah, 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 which, is I hope that's where the protests don't go, that this doesn't just become an exercise in China bashing, because that's...
It probably has to a degree, I think, but like there will be people out there who are just using this as a good excuse to jump on, like, this is now the thing, because it's like anti-China, and now Blizzard has become like this icon of that inadvertently. And there are some like worrying implications of Blizzard taking such a hardline stand straight away.
Yeah.
Potentially to appease China, because it's not just about Blizzard so much as it's like
no,
all these companies.
It's a canary in the coal mine for Western capitalism and its relationship with China. Like, at what point do you start compromising your values for the sake of trying to open up a huge potential market? It's, I don't envy Blizzard in the position that they put themselves in, but they're not unique in this.
No, not at all. Like any company that's gone and chased money in
it's
China.
Just going to put a spotlight on the whole matter, and that's possibly a good thing, but also possibly a bad thing.
We just have to see how it shakes out in the end.
It's a thing.
If there's one group of fans like that can organize themselves and shout really loudly,
yeah,
like it's definitely gaming fans, right? So,
well, I was going to say, think Blizzard fans specifically.
Blizzard fans specifically do shout a lot, but there is a worrying precedent that could potentially be set here for by Blizzard for other companies that go chasing the gold mine of China. Because like I think Activision Blizzard makes 12% of their income from China alone.
That's the figure I heard.
Yeah. Anyway, the first reaction I want to talk about was from the perennial topic of conversation on the Words About Gamescast, Epic Games founder and CEO Tim Sweeney. Amid controversy that Blizzard Entertainment bowed to pressure from the Chinese government in banning a Hearthstone player who voiced political support for Hong Kong, Epic Games founder and CEO Tim Sweeney says his company would never make such a move. Quote, "That will never happen on my watch as the founder, CEO, and controlling shareholder of Epic Games," Sweeney said on Twitter. Epic supports the right of Fortnite players and creators to speak about politics and human rights, Sweeney said on Twitter. He was responding to another user who pointed out that Epic Games is 40% owned by Chinese company Tencent, which also holds a small stake in Blizzard. Sweeney was firm on his stance even when another Twitter user presented him with the following hypothetical situation. So, if, say, Fortnite streamer Tfue said "Free Hong Kong" in a post-game interview, you wouldn't do anything? Exactly, Sweeney responded. Epic is a US company and I'm the controlling shareholder. Tencent is an approximately 40% shareholder and there are many other investors, including employees, many other shareholders, including employees and other investors. So that was what Tim Sweeney said.
Yeah.
Tim Sweeney never misses a chance to just...
Yeah, it's utterly... It costs him nothing to come out and express opinion, basically. I wouldn't do this terrible thing that other people would do.
Yeah. I wouldn't do what Blizzard did.
And at the same time, it also lets him come out and say, Epic's totally not ruled by, going by Chinese corporate interests, which is what people keep accusing Epic of being.
Yeah.
So it's sort of using Blizzard as a sin eater for their own alleged...
In theory.
Not that I believe the tinfoil hat theories that, oh my god, the Epic Games Store's selling all your data to China, rah, rah, rah. Not necessarily giving that credence, but
this was the ideal situation for Tim Sweeney to come out and comment on.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Tim Sweeney and you've got that hanging around your neck.
Well, he's totally not going to come out and say, yeah, I would absolutely do the same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, true, but
yeah, and on top of which, I don't know how popular Fortnite is in China.
Oh, it's out in China because I'm pretty sure that all the big battle royales came out in China.
But I suspect that that Epic's stake in China is probably not as big as Blizzard's.
Percentage-wise, you're probably right because Fortnite is popular everywhere.
Yeah, because one, I don't know how... Well, yeah, exactly. One, Fortnite's popular everywhere, worldwide. Two, I don't know how big a deal it is in China and therefore how much it costs them to lose it. And three, he's got to know that Fortnite is a bubble that's waiting to burst. Whereas Blizzard's got a lot of long-term investment in China.
Yeah, I mean everything in terms of like Blizzard properties, Overwatch, Hearthstone, like it's been massive in China. Like from an esports point of view, which probably drives a lot of revenue from China, which is why this happened. Like in the first place.
Blizzard's much more entrenched in China than Epic is, or is even likely to be, because I don't know how long Fortnite's necessarily going to last at the level it's at.
I'm surprised I am surprised Fortnite has lasted as long as it has at this level. That it's lasted at. But
I was listening to a podcast the other day. It said the kids are all moving on to Apex Legends. So,
fair enough. that would be surprising, but fair enough. I guess we'll see.
Again, take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I
don't know anything about what the kids are doing anyway.
No. I'd be concerned if you did.
I'd be concerned if I did.
Hello, fellow kids.
Hello. How do you do? What are we all playing this week?
Me and my schoolyard chums want to be quite quirky if we had a game of Fortnite.
Oh man, I think you used that line on someone. Other reactions. Blizzard employees organize walkout following Hong Kong controversy. This was from a story written by Marie DeLassandre over at GamesIndustry.biz, who wrote, a small number of Blizzard employees have staged a walkout on Tuesday to show support to Hearthstone pro player Blitz Chun, who was excluded by the publisher for showing support of the Hong Kong protests. According to the Daily Beast, several Blizzard employees gathered next to the orc statue in front of Blizzard's HQ in Irvine, California, with some of them carrying umbrellas, a symbol used in the recent Hong Kong protests that is reminiscent of 2014's pro-democracy protests known as the Umbrella Movement. Throughout the day, between a dozen and 30 people came and went on the site of the walkout, which would have been visible from the executive officers, participants reported. Talking to the Daily Beast, an employee who preferred to remain anonymous said, quote, the action Blizzard took against the player was pretty appalling but not surprising. Blizzard makes a lot of money in China, but now the company is in this awkward position where we can't abide by our values, end quote. Such values include think globally and every voice matters, which are displayed on plaques next to the orc statue. These were covered by staff earlier in the week, one of many other demonstrations of discontent worldwide, including reactions from United States senators. Another anonymous employee added, quote, we want people all over the world to play our games, but no action like this can be made with political neutrality, end quote.
I hope they don't get in trouble.
I mean, I think if the story hadn't have exploded, like, because this story caught fire, like, not just, I mean, like, the whole Blizzard thing caught fire, I think they might potentially be in trouble because this is Activision Blizzard. I think if they got these people in trouble, that would prolong the story. It would give it a whole new dimension. And for something that we're going to talk about in a minute, I don't think they will get their employees in trouble. And good on them for like standing up for, like, because it must take guts to do that, like knowing that you could. Something could come of it. You could get a disciplinary action. You should get fired, you know? Unionize.
Well, yeah, that's... but on the other hand, if you're working in Blizzard and you're sacked for, standing up for the rights of the guy who said free Hong Kong, you're probably going to be able to go to just about any job you want in the games industry.
Go work at Epic Games.
Yeah.
They love it, apparently. They'd be fine to work there.
Yeah.
Like, any company would take them on just for the positive PR, if nothing else.
With that said, I mean, that's a bit sort of changing. Well, let them find jobs. No, it's still a brave thing they did.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I love the fact that they did it. Like, I love the fact that people covered up the core values that were printed on the orc statue that are on the Blizzard website.
This is a complete aside, just me ranting about how shitty capitalism is. I fucking hate when companies come out with a list of here are our core values, because it's never used as a cudgel in which to beat employees to death with. We act bravery and with togetherness, and you don't believe any of this.
Yeah, these are just words. These are just word salad. It's a word salad that you're saying to appease people, to make people think that you're the good guys. Like, the last time Blizzard were involved in a controversy, obviously not this big, because, like, no one's been involved in a controversy this big, but, like, there was a story that came out in a comic where it's like, Soldier 76 is gay. What? Whoa. Like, this is kind of what Blizzard's been doing the last sort of, yeah. So, like, with the whole, like, statement of...
They've had a bad year.
They've had a terrible year.
Like, almost to the day with the last BlizzCon.
Yeah. BlizzCon's coming. We get to BlizzCon. Don't anyone worry about that. We're saving that for dessert. Where are we? Here we are. Hearthstone team risks career in solidarity with banned player. This is from Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon, who wrote, 3 students from American University in Washington, D.C. stood in solidarity with banned Hearthstone player Blitz Chun by holding a Free Hong Kong Boycott Blizz sign following their collegiate Hearthstone match last week. Participating under the AU Gamers team name, 19-year-old Casey Chambers, 19-year-old Corwin Dark, and a third player called T-Jammer, who as Polygon uses Battle.net tag, appeared on stream during their Hearthstone Collegiate Championship Fall 2019 match against Worcester Poly on October 8th. At the end of the match, which was broadcast on the Hearthstone Twitch stream, the 3 players pulled out the sign. The match is no longer available on the Hearthstone Twitch channel, but a mirror is available on YouTube. The players told Polygon they believe Blizzard's decision to suspend Chung and fire 2 Taiwanese casters was unfair and draconian. They continued, quote, "We are also outraged that a company we trust would try and renege on the values they claim to hold," end quote. But wait! Normally we would talk about that. But wait. 2 days later, there's a story by Fraser Brown from PC Gamer. Shortly after Blizzard removed a player from Hearthstone Grandmasters, yep, we already know this, the American University College team held up a banner that read Free Hong Kong Boycott Blizz during a match. Not only were they offered another match, there were apparently no consequences at all. One of the team's players took to Reddit to highlight what they consider hypocrisy on Blizzard's part, claiming that it's evidence the company treats people differently depending on their region. Quote, "They are hesitant to suppress free speech when it happens in America or in an English language stream, but will throw casters and players' livelihoods under the bus if they are from Hong Kong or Taiwan. It should also dispel the idea that Blitz Chun was punished for bringing politics into Hearthstone, because our message was clearly political and we weren't touched. Blitz Chun was punished because China was watching," end quote. American University's protest was different in that it specifically called out Blizzard, as well as calling for Hong Kong's freedom, so it arguably crossed 2 lines. The disparity in Blizzard's reaction is stark, though it's also worth noting that this happened after it was already under pressure from players, so it could also be a reaction to that. While the team has been offered another match, they've decided to drop out of the tournament. Blizzard has not been in touch, team member Casey Chambers told us via email, and the team won't be participating in future tournaments until it changes its decision in regards to Hong Kong and Blitz Chun's removal from the Grandmasters. Whew, that was a mouthful and a half. That was a lot. Yeah, so like I think it was the day after the ruling, the decision got announced, and it was like this happened, and the 3 guys were playing the Hearthstone match in a tournament in America on the Hearthstone Twitch channel. They lost the match and they held up the sign,
right?
Free Hong Kong Boycott Blizz. Like,
so the only material difference is that it was happening in America, not in.
The only material difference was they're an American team. They were in America, and it was happening on an English language stream. Right. And they specifically called out Blizzard, whereas Blitz Chun just was talking about Hong Kong. They were talking about both. And those were the differences. And the difference in punishment was that American University have faced absolutely no consequences, were offered the next match.
Except for the consequences they took upon themselves, which is that's what allyship should look for. Look like they're actually taking a hit themselves, like it's costing them something.
Yeah, it is, because they themselves, it wasn't Blizzard banning them. They didn't ban them from anything. They didn't lose anything. It was them. They pointed out the hypocrisy of Blizzard's decision in this regard, and then took it upon themselves to say, look, we aren't going to continue to participate in this because of that hypocrisy. So fair fucking play to those 3. Like, 2 of them are, like, I don't know about T-Jammer, because obviously, like, he's requested anonymity-ish, like, as much anonymity, yeah. But the other 2 are 19 years old. Like, and I, like, respect for that. Like,
Yeah,
for
the
that
kids
move.
are all right.
The kids, you know what? We might be okay. The future generation might be.
Yeah, if we haven't burned the world that they inherited.
I mean, let's try our best for them.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed by this, by like everything that happened as regards to this. Like,
Yeah.
you see them do the thing with the sign, and you think, huh, awesome, you know, memes, right? Like that's the first thing you think of, memes. But no, actually, like they have solid moral fiber, and are sending a message. Cool. I'm glad you did that. There was also 2 professional Hearthstone casters who quit.
I've just noticed you've got your Diva hoodie in the background.
Oh yeah, there's like Overwatch stuff. I know, like. Hang on.
I'm sorry.
I know. Well, it's not because I normally like covering up the logo on the chair. There's Winston and a Reaper.
Yeah.
In the back. In fact, hang on.
I should probably draw attention to it.
Keep talking a second.
I don't know. I don't really. This is why I'm the absolute worst person to bring on for this, because I don't have strong opinions about Blizzard besides, you know, indifference.
Tracer as well.
Burn
on my
it,
desk.
burn it, burn it, burn
I may
it.
well do.
I just thought I'd best bring it up just in case someone else does it.
You've got, but it's true. I have Overwatch shit everywhere. Like.
It's like, Blizzard. When we were like, Blizzard sucks, and yet you enjoy Blizzard products.
And I think that's everything Blizzard related from behind me.
I am very intelligent.
Yes. But you participate in a society. Yes. I've seen that meme. Yeah, that's everything Blizzard related from behind me. Thank you for that. Good catch. The only way this could have been worse is if I'd have been wearing my Overwatch t-shirt. Like, shit.
We'll just have to start from the beginning now.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. What I'll do is I'll just clip that part out, where I just chuck everything and put it on Twitter and everything. So people see that before they see the podcast. Thank you for pointing that out, though. I'd forgotten about that. I actually thought to get rid of it, like the jacket, like yesterday when I was starting to put these notes together. No, I mean like from the chat.
But
like, and then I was like, it just completely slipped my mind. So thank you for that, Barak. Yeah, so 2 professional Hearthstone casters quit following the incident. Brian Kibler, who's a regular Hearthstone commentator and has been a pro card game player for more than 20 years, expressed concern at the incredibly harsh punishment given out by Blizzard, and Nathan Admirable Zamora, a caster as part of the Hearthstone Grandmasters, the tournament Blitz Chun was banned from, said he was inspired by Blitz Chun's actions. I think all the tournaments are just called Grandmasters tournaments. But yeah, 2 casters. I think one of them was supposed to be a caster at BlizzCon.
yeah, I saw that.
Fair play to them. Like, there's a lot going around for, like, a lot of people are trying to put a lot of pressure on a lot of, like, professional Hearthstone streamers and casters and people who are playing World of Warcraft to offer, like, anything Blizzard related to, like, not do that anymore. And it's like, that's not necessarily an option for everybody. That's like walking up to the Blizzard HQ at Irvine, California, and telling everybody there they need to quit their jobs to stand in like you can stand in solidarity with Blitz Chun or be opposed to the decision that Blizzard has made, but like you can't necessarily just quit your job.
Yeah, it's rather different when it's your job.
Yeah,
or it's your primary source of income.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so fair play to these 2 guys for standing up and doing that. And but
yeah.
like I'm not expecting like everybody to just suddenly start dropping.
No,
like,
because exactly. What they're doing is not performative. It's it's substantial because they're having to give something up in order to do this.
Yeah. Like, if you disagree with Blizzard and talk about how you disagree with Blizzard, like, come out in support of Hong Kong and democracy in Hong Kong, but then log on to Twitch and do your job playing Hearthstone, like, I ain't got no problem with that because that's your job. Like, you need to earn money. It's as simple as that. I just wanted to get that out there. Parik, should we get into Blizzard's statement?
It's completely anodyne corporate bollocks.
Which we waited 4 days for.
God, it's like 4 pages long.
And I don't know if I'll read it all. And they dropped this on Friday at 5:30 p.m. local time. It was like 1 a.m. here because I was still up when I saw people start reacting to it on Twitter.
5:30 in California. That's the weekend. I'm sorry, but
no, that's the point. That's what you do when you want to dump news after everybody's gone home for the weekend and won't be writing it. The only thing I think that Blizzard haven't calculated into that strategy is I don't know if this is going to blow over quite that much, and I think a lot of people are going to start writing about this on Monday.
Well, yeah, it's like, God, if only they didn't have some sort of major corporate event in 3 weeks' time.
It's coming. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to read all of this. I might just start skipping around a bit. It's not difficult to find this statement or any of the story. Just literally, someone asked me. So I was like, I got asked in a group chat by someone who said, just as a tangent, he said, like, is there something going on with Blizzard? Because I'm seeing boycott Blizzard trending on Twitter and I can't make heads or tails of it. And I thought you would know, and obviously I did know. And I was literally just like, Google Blizzard. And he was just like, like, can you not just tell me? I was like, no, there's too much. If you just Google Blizzard, you'll find everything you're looking for. Trust me. Like, everything, every, like, news story, everything about Blizzard, or 95% of everything about Blizzard on Google is about this. And the other 5% is about a blizzard that happened in America. As I found out when I Googled Blizzard myself. Blizzard statement. Here we go. Hello, Blizzard community. I want to take a few minutes to talk to all of you about the Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament this past weekend. On Monday, we made the decision to take action against a player named Blitz Chun and 2 shoutcasters after the player shared his views on what's happening in Hong Kong on our official broadcast channel. At Blizzard, our vision is to bring the world together through epic entertainment, and we have core values that apply here. Think globally, lead responsibly, and importantly, every voice matters, encouraging everybody to share their point of view. The actions that we took over the weekend are causing people to question if we are still committed to these values. We absolutely are, and I will explain. Can Amy keep a straight face while reading this? I've not tried to read this out loud yet.
You should do a voice where you read it.
I'm not very good at voices. Our esports... No, I can't do a voice.
No.
Our esports programs are an expression of our visions and our values. Esports exist to create opportunities for players from around the world from different cultures and from different backgrounds to come together to compete and share their passion for gaming. It is extremely important to us to protect these channels and the purpose they serve, to bring the world together through epic entertainment, celebrate our players, and build diverse and inclusive communities. As to how those values apply in this case, first, our official esports tournament broadcast was used as a platform for a winner of this event to share his views with the world. That sounds perfectly in line with the values that you've just outlined. We interview competitors who are at the top of their craft to share how they feel. We want to experience that moment with them. Hearing their excitement is a powerful way to bring us together. Over the weekend, Blitz Chun used his segment to make a statement about the situation in Hong Kong, in violation of rules he acknowledged and understood, and this is why we took action. Every voice matters, and we strongly encourage everyone in our community to share their viewpoints in the many places available to express themselves. However, the official broadcast needs to be about the tournament and to be a place where all are welcome. In support of that, we want to keep the official channels focused on the game. Second, what is the role of the shoutcasters of these broadcasts? We hire shoutcasters to amplify the excitement of the game. They elevate the watchability and help the esports viewing experience to stay focused on the tournament and our amazing players. Third, where are actions...
Can I stop you right there?
Can.
He hasn't actually addressed punishing the shoutcasters at all there. He's just stated their job description.
Yes.
Like he
Well, you've got to understand, this is really about the ethics of card gaming. That's what you've got to understand here. He hasn't addressed that at all.
Like, I get the paragraphs out explaining how Blitz Chun has violated the rules. They haven't explained what the shoutcasters have done. They just said, we hire shoutcasters to amplify the excitement of the game. Okay.
You do.
Okay.
That's literally yes. Thanks. Third, where are actions based on the content of the message? Part of thinking globally, leading responsibly, and every voice matters. They're all capitalized as well. Is recognizing that we have players and fans in almost every country in the world. Our goal is to help players connect in areas of commonality, like their passion for our games, and create a sense of shared community. The specific views expressed by Blitz Chun were not a factor in the decision we made. I want to be clear, our relationships in China had no influence on our decision. We have these rules to keep the focus on the game and on the tournament, blah, 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 blah. In the end, Blizzard, they're giving Blitz, they halved Blitz Chun's suspension from a year to 6 months. They've given him back the money, the prize money, because like he played fair, which is also capitalized in here. The shoutcasters are also now apparently only banned from casting for 6 months. To go along with Blitz Chun's thing. With regard to the casters, this is a paragraph that addresses what you just said. With regard to the casters, remember their purpose is to keep the event focused on the tournament. That didn't happen here, and we are setting their suspension to 6 months as well.
Yeah, that paragraph should have been like up where you defined what a shoutcaster is. This is bad blocking. Like, who edited this?
Well, they've blocked it out in a way where it's like the paragraph before is talking about why they think they're right in suspending Blitz Chun. Moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views. One of our goals at Blizzard is to make sure that every player everywhere in the world, regardless of political views, religious beliefs, race, gender, or any other consideration, always feels safe and welcome both in competing and playing in our games. Remind me to circle back to that paragraph. At Blizzard, we are always listening and finding ways to improve. It is part of our culture. Thank you for your patience with us as we continue to learn. Sincerely, J. Allen Brack, President of Blizzard Entertainment.
Is he the evil president no one likes?
I don't know. Bobby Kotick, I think you're thinking of. He's the president.
Yeah, well,
of Activision
I know.
Blizzard.
I know, but I this is because I don't pay attention to what happened at Blizzard. But I know at BlizzCon, like
J. Allen Brack's new.
Yeah, the party I was with like booed like the new president of Blizzard or something because he was in Activision suit.
That might be somebody else because I think this guy replaced Mike Morhaime.
I don't know.
If I'm remembering past podcasts correctly.
I don't know. I just don't know if I'm supposed to be booing this guy or what.
I mean, based off of the statement that he just gave, would you like to boo him?
Well, the statement seems to be... He seems to be operating the assumption that the reason people object was that they were punished too harshly. It basically said, well... I mean... Said, okay, well, our problem was that we didn't punish them too hard, so we're halving the punishment. It's like, I think people are asking if the sportcasters deserve to be punished at all, actually.
I mean, that is one aspect of it. Like, do the casters who tried to hide behind their desk when this happened necessarily deserve punishment? Like
what were they supposed to do?
Well, they're not directors, so they're not in control of the stream. They couldn't do a cutaway. It's not like they could suddenly cut to something else.
Like, were they supposed to go, no, fuck Hong Kong?
Were they just supposed to start screaming, like, as Blitz Chun said, like, did his Free Hong Kong bet? Were they supposed to just be like, try and drown out, like, what he's saying? Like,
yeah, I don't see what on earth they could have done, and it seems...
It would be like...
Whether or not it's proportionate to punish Blitz Chun as harsh as they did, I understand intellectually why they did it. I don't get how they justified punishing the
their justification was that they should have kept the broadcast on topic, essentially. That was their justification for punishing the casters. In terms of the punishment for Blitz Chun, and whether it was disproportionate or out of proportion, I'm going to circle back to what I said something earlier, which was, as somebody who has been following the Overwatch League for the last 2 years, there have been punishments handed out for racist comments, sexist comments.
Right.
that are significantly lower than Blitz Chun's reduced punishment.
Right. I suppose the question is, if he'd come out and said "fuck Trump," would the conversation be different? I'd imagine the response to Blizzard would be, and then it would be a bit more divisive.
It would be more divisive, for sure. Like if it had been about American politics, 100%. Like, but that leans into this because now, like the way this statement has been set out, obviously, like Blitz Chun was only one part of it because although it was the inciting incident of the entire affair, like it's only become like one part of the entire larger conversation. And part of what Jail and Brack and Blizzard have said in this statement is, we don't want anyone anywhere talking about any politics, like ever.
Which
is nonsense.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
I mean, for starters,
because it kind of gets to the conversation of what constitutes politics, and then people brought up, well, it's like, well, you endorse LGBT rights, to which my response is, well, I don't think that's actually a political issue because, as far as I'm concerned, that's not open for debate. You know.
Indeed. Yeah, like if someone was to shout trans rights on an Overwatch League broadcast, or like War in 2020, or like Trump for president, like, are all of those things punishable?
Yeah. Which, well, yes, because it does say at the start that it's at Blizzard's discretion as to what they define as inappropriate.
Blizzard set out their discretion. Blizzard set out their discretion, what their discretion is, in this statement by saying anything, like political. Yeah. Like every stream that they do has to be focused solely on the game. You know, it's all about the hype of playing Hearthstone or playing Overwatch or playing StarCraft.
Which, you know, I mean, the axiom is that if you don't take a side, you're siding with the oppressor there. That's like, as soon as you say, well, we're not going to discuss politics, what you're saying is, well, you're basically condemning the people of Hong Kong to silence.
Yes, by not making a statement, you're
siding
implicitly.
You're siding implicitly with China. So.
Yeah, like that's how it works. Like that's why past year.
Which incidentally, that statement, no mention of human rights, free speech, not even saying, we value, you don't even necessarily aim at China. You're not coming out saying we value human rights and free speech and we work in a variety of markets. No, it's framed in terms of Blizzard's anodyne corporate values, which mean nothing. Because
they mentioned, they mentioned it twice. Like their reaction to this wasn't a result of their relationships in China, which, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't believe you. Like,
well, here's the thing. I do believe him, and I honestly, I said this on Facebook. I honestly think that that's what he thinks. I think that is what an executive of a multi-million-dollar business thinks when he says, "We're not about politics. This is not about our relationship with China." I honestly think that they've convinced themselves that is the case.
I mean, wow.
That it's about that it's about not having politics in the stream because it's divisive, which is I mean, I get where they're coming from. It's just lean any kind of controversy if someone was to come up and say Trump, but the thing is, it comes across as naive at best and profoundly disingenuous at worst.
Right, you're either.
I mean, I don't know what else he was supposed to say. Like, oh yeah, absolutely, we are totally did this because the Chinese government told us to.
I mean, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, but it's kind of their own fault. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing I was thinking about this. I was thinking, if I'm a Blizzard, how do I solve this? And it's like if they had publicly scolded Blitz Chun and said what you did was wrong, and then done nothing, like let him keep his prize money, let him enter the next competition, just let him off with a slap of the wrist, and basically put on a performance for the Chinese government, would anyone be making a fuss about it?
No,
it would just be seen as the price of doing business.
Yeah, like if this had been,
we can't prove you guilty, but don't do it again.
Yeah, if this had been like, I don't know how Hearthstone tournaments work, but let's just say like this had been like, a 3-match ban for like bringing making politics on the stream, and it's like a 3-match ban. It might have been mentioned.
I'll just release a statement saying we condemn and regret his decision to bring politics into
Hearthstone. Yeah.
And we hope to create a more blah 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 environment in the future.
Yeah.
But instead, they banned him for a year and took away his money and banned the people who were on screen with him at the same time.
Yeah. It's when you say it like that, it's like
you've gone from we have to obey the letter of the law because we don't want to upset the Chinese government to actually we just look like we're just enforcing Chinese government policy re Hong Kong now. You've picked a side, and now I don't know how you get out of this.
I don't think
because you're now at a point where you actually have to either overtly condemn your position and therefore risk upsetting the Chinese government. You have to say, well, actually, we do support human rights and free speech, or you have to double down and say, or you have to double down and play the evil corporate megalith and hope it blows over.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what the delay in the statement was. I feel like they were they were waiting to see if this was going to blow over. Like, that was what was happening from a PR crisis management standpoint.
Which, had this happened in April, maybe that would happen, but BlizzCon's coming up and everyone's now planning to protest it, so...
let's talk about BlizzCon.
I mean, I was umming and ahhing about, do I want to go to my friend's thing about BlizzCon? Because, it's like, I'm not that fussed about Blizzard. It's like, well, I kind of want to go now. Because it's going to be funny.
BlizzCon. As timing goes for something like this to happen.
Yeah.
BlizzCon was in less than 3 weeks.
Like, did no one on the PR department or the executive board saying, actually, BlizzCon's coming up. Maybe we should just, very quietly spread this under the table.
I don't know what the thought was. I don't I'll be very sorry, we're gonna not talk about BlizzCon right now because there's a few things I want to say. Like, I'm very curious to know who made this decision.
It could just be a case of the left hand doesn't know what the right hand was. Hand was thinking. It could have been like it was, well, not an HR decision because there's not employees, but I don't think Bobby Kotick and Stephen Blizzard were involved in making this decision. I don't know.
I mean, neither do I, but Stephen Blizzard is now, as far as I'm concerned.
As much as I like to imagine, Bobby Kotick was sitting on his throne of Obsidian thinking, yeah, ban him for 12 months. I don't think...
Skeleton style.
I don't think that... Because that is how I think Bobby Kotick operates. But I suspect he may still not know what's going on. I wouldn't put it past him.
Probably J. Allen Brack, not Stephen Blizzard. Because he's signed it as the president of Blizzard Entertainment, so I'm going to go ahead and assume he's probably in charge. The left hand and the right hand is kind of interesting because obviously this was Blizzard Entertainment's statement. Blizzard Entertainment based in Irvine, California, as we just discussed. There's also a Chinese arm of Blizzard who took a more nationalistic approach to the statement that they released.
Well, no shit. Oh, this, yeah.
Yeah, so it's indirect. It's like they're talking about it's nothing to do with our relationships in China, and then you've got the Chinese arm of Blizzard coming out and saying we will defend the dignity of our sovereignty. Yeah. It's like, okay then. Those two statements kind of.
Yeah, I mean, is someone going to ban the person who made that statement? Because that sounds like a political statement to me.
I mean, yeah, it was like an official Chinese Blizzard Weibo, I believe it's called. Not Weeaboo.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Weibo.
Yeah,
Weibo.
Weeaboo is a completely different social network.
Weeaboo is something completely different. But yeah, it's like they came out and basically they were like talking about they would always defend their sovereignty with the dignity or honor,
which again is performative.
100%.
If that had been the statement and then there'd been no punishment,
like if
we'd probably all have moved on by now.
Blizzard Weibo had said that, and then there'd been no ban, and then there'd been we wouldn't have spent an hour and 7 minutes talking about it so far on a podcast entirely devoted to Blizzard.
Well, because very few English speakers would probably have picked up on it.
100%.
Because they wouldn't be trolling Blizzard's Chinese Weibo account.
It's impossible. Like, as somebody who follows about 600 people related to the games industry on Twitter, it's impossible to fucking ignore at a certain point because everyone's talking about it with good reason. But I just wanted to bring that up before I moved on to do Blitz. So let's talk about BlizzCon, which is happening in a few weeks. This is going to be an interesting BlizzCon. There's 2 news stories associated with the BlizzCon tag. I'm not going to read the full ones. I just want to talk about these 2 things because they're very interesting. Number 1, protests are coming to BlizzCon in the wake of Blizzard's Hong Kong fiasco.
No shit.
No shit. There's, however, the digital rights non-profit organization Fight for the Future launched a website and Discord to kick off its organizing efforts, and a protest BlizzCon subreddit is gaining serious steam as well. Fight for the Future's protest will take place outside the Anaheim Convention Center at noon on November 1st, the first day of BlizzCon. The organization is asking protesters to bring umbrellas as a sign of solidarity with protesters in Hong Kong who've adopted umbrellas as a symbol, or to cosplay as their favorite Blizzard characters. That's nice. The digital rights group decided... Well, actually, I don't need to read that part.
It's also a good photo opportunity if that hits the news and fucking traces there say, yeah, free Hong Kong.
Free Hong Kong, like every fucking character in... not just Overwatch, like... Every character Blizzard has is going to be saying free Hong Kong for an entire weekend.
All those famous Blizzard characters like the Lost Vikings and Zerg.
Okay, I get it. I know you're not a Blizzard guy.
I'm just tempted to start naming Warhammer characters.
Please don't.
You know.
There's a second news story which is infinitely funnier, I think, but I just have that twisted sense of humor. So the headline is, Blizzard doesn't respect the human rights of its customers, major rights organization says. So this is from Jason Kobler over at Weisz, who writes, Blizzard's censorship and sanctioning of a Hearthstone player who expressed support of Hong Kong's pro-democracy protesters is a human rights issue that demonstrates the video game company doesn't respect the humanity and basic rights of its customers, a prominent international human rights organization said Friday. Access Now, which defends the digital rights of people around the world, asked Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick to unban the banned player and to clarify Blizzard's policies and practices that affect your users' right to freedom of expression. Quote, as a major online gaming and user communications platform, Blizzard has a duty to respect human rights in its operations, end quote. There's something in here. Access Now, just for anyone who doesn't know who Access Now is a major human rights organization that regularly works with the United Nations, pushes back against authoritarian governments, and protects activists all over the world. And they're targeting Blizzard Entertainment. Just in case you didn't know how big this story had gotten.
Which, on the one hand, there's probably bigger human rights abuses being committed by the Chinese government alone than this one. But on the other hand, I think Blizzard's the canary in the coal mine here, and that the larger issue is Western companies operating in China.
Yeah, agreed.
And how they proceed going forward. So I think that's probably why this, Blizzard probably don't deserve that kind of scrutiny, but on the other hand,
they brought it on themselves.
Yeah, they did, and it's an issue that needs sorting out.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So BlizzCon's in 3 weeks. We were just talking about it. I put that story in, and I was like, wait, I was reading it and thinking, this doesn't have anything to do with BlizzCon. Shit, I've derailed myself. So how do you think BlizzCon's going to go down? Because it's a kind of an open secret that this year's BlizzCon was kind of being designed to make up for last year's BlizzCon, in that this was supposed to be like the conference of dreams for Blizzard.
Well, I think so. The thing I was having, I was having in conversation with people on Facebook about this, is that it's probably going to be very regulated anyway, because after the revolts that happened regarding... Remember when we were upset at Blizzard about, them releasing Diablo on mobile phones?
Don't you guys have phones? Yeah, I remember that.
That was nice. And then, a guy from the audience said, is this an April Fool's joke?
Yeah.
Like, they cannot possibly risk having that happen
So...
again.
Do you think they're just
Like-
not going to do Q&As?
Well, they might get actors to sort of come forward and say things like, "Oh, you've had a tough week. Anyway, how awesome were your games?" Oh, so awesome.
yeah, like, how does this? So, like, I guess it's like a theoretical question because we'll know in a few weeks. But like, so if Blizzard comes out of BlizzCon and they do their keynote speech and it's somehow not interrupted by someone, anyone with an umbrella or a sign, shouting
Like,
"Free Hong Kong."
It would be the easiest thing for the audience to start chanting.
If the entire audience started chanting "Free Hong Kong" during Blizzard's keynote,
And
but
or
how much
boo them to the rafters.
or boo them? Yeah, that would work too. But
were you saying boo or boo lizard?
words? I was saying boo words.
I was saying boo lizard.
Boo lizard. Like, how much of this? Like, right now, everybody's pissed, everybody's outraged, everybody's angry with Blizzard. How much of it do you think could possibly be blunted if Blizzard come out on stage, and then we've got Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 and Warcraft 3, like remastered, reforged, whatever it was called. Like, do you think that blunts this, like, somewhat? Like,
I don't know, because you're asking very much the wrong person,
That's
because
true.
I don't have a huge amount of emotional investment in Blizzard products anyway. So I'm trying to think, like, how big an announcement would Nintendo have to make for me to not be angry at this? Well, I suppose it's kind of different because I've never felt the need to boycott Nintendo. And I can't really say we're boycotting Blizzard. I'm not emotionally invested.
it's like
really.
you're already technically kind of boycotting Blizzard, but only because you don't play Blizzard games in the first place.
Well, in fairness, Diablo 3 was on sale on the Switch for £35. I was thinking, maybe I could, but no, I don't really want to give them money right now. Okay, fine. But yeah, it's. I can't really say that I'm boycotting them, and
That's fair.
I also can't really say what kind of mea culpa they have to do to say all is forgiven.
I don't know if it goes beyond just games. Like, cause I was thinking about this. Like, obviously a lot. Like, if they were like, "Here's Diablo 4," like, would a lot of people just go, "All is forgiven. Here's our game that we wanted."
That's my worry and my fear is that. I hope not. I'd like to think better of people. That if they come out and say Diablo 4, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh well, we like Blizzard again now. I'm going to renew my subscription." But on the other hand, how many of the Blizzard faithful that are going to be in the hall have cancelled their subscriptions?
I don't know.
See,
because there's got to be a lot of people planning on going to BlizzCon to protest at this point. To protest, you need tickets.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, is how many people have bought tickets and are now going to go there specifically to cause a ruckus?
Do you think they'll cancel BlizzCon?
No.
Okay, that was just a question I just thought of.
I hadn't actually considered. Well, I don't think they can, because because shareholders would then be furious with them.
Shareholders are furious already, but
well, yeah. Well, no, I think shareholders are furious in the abstract. I think shareholders are furious because people are cancelling subscriptions. If they not because of their reaction, re Hong Kong streamers. I think if they come out and say we're not announcing our core products for the next year or so, that will cause their share price to, sink into the toilet. And at that point, the shareholders are going to be pissed off.
True.
Like,
okay.
I don't think they can afford to handle BlizzCon, but if they've got to be thinking about how they can now essentially stage manage it.
Yeah, it's like now they've got to lean into it.
Like, I don't know if that just means turning off the mics in the auditorium or something, just so you can't hear the audience.
Yeah, this is true. Just like cameras consistently locked onto the stage.
Yeah.
No microphones over the audience. No Q&A sessions.
Some dude's got a Britney mic and that's it.
Yeah.
And they can't possibly have a Q&A session because
it's something they've always done. Because they do the keynote.
It's either stage managed to the point of inanity and to the point where it becomes insulting.
Yeah.
If someone comes out and says, "How awesome is Blizzard?" Oh, that's so awesome.
It's like the guy at the Bethesda conference who's like, "Whoa!" every 2 seconds when they were talking about Fallout 76. Yeah, because normally that's what happens, right? Like, and then they break off and they do their own stuff. So there's a Hearthstone thing, and there's an Overwatch thing, and there's a StarCraft thing, and then they have the lines and the microphones, and
that might be how they handle it. It's just if things get, just keep speeches short, and after everyone just cut something else.
Yeah. Okay.
That might be how they do it.
It's going to be an interesting BlizzCon.
And then don't show the Q&A live and just show it an edited version of it on YouTube later. I mean, it will look shady as all hell, but
yeah. Streams have delays. Like, you can delay, like, you can put a delay on the stream. So, like, if something does go wrong, you can sort it out before anyone on the internet sees it. People will still see it because there's still people in the crowd with phones. But anyway, I think that's go on.
The question really becomes, how dumb do we think Blizzard are at this point?
Well, they're either really dumb or really disingenuous. It's one of the two. Anyway, I wrote that at the beginning of the stream. Beginning of the podcast, and now no one can see it because of all of the light. It says the thing.
All right.
Yeah. There we go. It's catching the light really weirdly.
We're not going to be invited to the cool parties.
No, we're not going to be. We're never invited to the cool parties, but it's fine. I installed Overwatch on like Wednesday. Actually, probably won't stick, but it can replace the Diva jacket.
Do you think somewhere at Epic there's the guys running Battleborn who are like, finally vindication?
Yeah, maybe. Like maybe if they'd release Battleborn now.
Now would be a good time to mention it.
Now might be. It was Gearbox, not Epic, but
was it not? Oh.
Yeah, it was Gearbox. Guys made Borderlands. Okay. Borderlands. It fell off. This chair isn't particularly conducive to Post-it notes.
Yeah, didn't it come out like the week before Overwatch?
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. That's all the Blizzard that we have. My voice is giving out. I'm just on the tail end of recovering from like losing my voice. So. Two long podcasts was definitely like what I needed to do to recover. There are games out this week. I'll tell you about them now. On October 15th, we got a lot of games coming out. Zombieland Double Tap comes out. Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip comes out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Children of Morta comes out on PS4 and Xbox One. Disco Elysium comes out on PC. Overwatch comes out on Switch. Override Mech City Brawl comes out on Switch. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition comes out on Switch. Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition Pack comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition and Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. On October 16th, Little Town Hero comes out on Switch. On October 17th, Stranded Sails Explorers of the Cursed Island comes out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And on October 18th, Megaquarium comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Return of the Obra Dinn comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville releases on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. That's all the games that are out this week.
All the games.
That's all the games. I'm interested to see Overwatch on Switch sales numbers. I'll beat EGX, so I won't be playing any of these games. We're playing games from the future, like Doom and Avengers. Ooh.
Doom got delayed. Have we talked about that?
Yeah, Doom got delayed to 2020. I was talking about it on Twitter. I'm fine with it. No crunch, right?
All the news we don't get to talk about.
All the news we don't get to talk about. I told you it was going to take ages to go through all the stuff.
PlayStation 5. Doom got
PlayStation
delayed.
5. Like, Sony picked... I mean, it wasn't their fault, obviously. They picked the worst possible week to announce PlayStation 5.
In fact, it's also the most non-story. So, yes, it will be go to PlayStation 5 and be released next year.
Yeah, like, the way they did it was super... It was a PlayStation blog post...
Wait, that's an announcement?
And a planted article, so like a Wired article, and that was it. That was how they announced the PS5.
I think we knew that.
I was on GameSpot, and they had a comparison table of what we know about the PlayStation 5 specs versus what we know about the Xbox 4 specs, and literally they're the same console. They're the same thing. Like the specifications are the same. It's not like it was last gen when it was like, oh shit, the PS4 is actually better than, like, a better technical product than the Xbox One. It's like these products are going to be identical in spec by the looks of it, which is going to be weird. We won't have all those stories coming out at the beginning of next gen about like frame rates and figuring out which console version has the better resolution.
We might.
That's going to do it for episode 179 of the Words About Gamescast. Like I said, next week there won't be an episode on Monday. Instead, it'll be on Wednesday or Thursday, and I'll be talking about all the games I played at EGX. There'll be a lot. There's like 250 games going to be playable at EGX. So I'm going to get around with a few of them. Thank you very much for joining me this week, Patrick. It's always a pleasure to see you.
It's okay.
You always do a great job. I love it when you're around. And thank you for the reminder about getting rid of all my Overwatch stuff out the background.
Well, it's probably best that I do it then.
The internet at large does it. You just know someone's going to start watching this and go, "You've got your diva jacket on." They're like, just keep watching the video. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, boycott Blizzard. Hashtag. Say bye, Patrick.
Bye. Free Hong Kong.